Interesting. That was a film. As I said to you probably 7 times.
Yeah. It was an interesting film.
A movie that was made.
Hello, everyone. Deep Dive episode 15.
Number 15.
It's your boy Practical.
This is your boy Rex.
And we're talking about 2019's Joker today, as well as 2024's Folie Deux, or Fondle a Dude, whatever you want to call it.
Pretty sure.
How the fuck you say that shit?
It's French, so it's Fondle a Dude.
Yeah. Fondle a Dude. All right. Well, basically, I'm going to kick us off here with the overall plot points of Joker 2019. Story follows Arthur Fleck, a very clearly troubled individual, and Todd Phillips' dream to remake Taxi Driver. I'm just kidding. That was cutting it kind of low. But anyway, kind of a commentary on society with Arthur Fleck boiling over, creating a character in his head to cope with his failures. I don't know. However you want to view it. Joker 2019.
Joker 2019. A movie to unpack. It said a lot for a Joker movie. It was definitely an interesting take.
Yeah, probably the most interesting one we've seen of all the options. Well, never mind. Jared Leto's wasn't interesting. It was just garbage. Hot garbage.
We didn't see like an origin for him, though. He just was.
Yeah, but he was terrible.
No, he wasn't good, but it wasn't terrible. I feel like he wasn't given the time of day. Not a huge fan of his.
Disagree.
Of his little weird gangster. Little Wayne.
Little Joker.
Yeah, little joke. Little jokester.
I just didn't like that interpretation. It didn't land with me. I knew what they were trying to do with it, but I felt nothing for it.
I think I liked him more in the Snyder cut of Justice League. For whatever reason, they took away some of his tattoos, or maybe it was it's at a later time they show that. I don't understand things. Zack Snyder does it. Whatever.
I don't think anybody does. I think it's the guy that did Watchmen. I love him. I love him.
And 300.
Yeah. Boo.
You don't like 300?
No, not really.
We'll have to come back to that. So go back around for that later on.
It's just one of those movies that I think is really overrated, like Jurassic Park.
Fuck you.
I just think that movie kind of sucks. It sucks. Yes, it sucks.
You know, I just don't think you appreciate Jeff Goldblum's chest.
I like The Fly. I mean, The Fly's good.
But was he sweaty on a table?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, apparently I got to rewatch that because I need to see some of that. But anyways, back to Joker. So, judging by the shot you took, you must not like this movie too much, or at least you're not as big of a fan as everybody else.
No, I like that movie. I think it's good. I just think that if you're a big Scorsese fan and you watch Joker for the first time and you can't see all the purposeful, glaring comparabilities to those two movies, it's wild, because from the grainy tone all the way to the like pseudo society judgment type things, it's all of it. It even has like the political parts and shit, and that's fine. I mean, art inspires art, so I'm not taking a jab at it. I think it does it really well. But on the other side of that, when you ask me that question, I do really like Joker, but it's my least favorite incarnation of the character besides Jared Leto. It's just I'd rather watch
That's
Cesar
interesting.
Romero fucking run wild in '66 than watch what they're doing with this. But that's just me. I mean, what do you think of the movie? What is the overall thought for you on Joker? Because we're both Batman fans, so like,
Yeah,
that's
so
gonna play a pretty major part into it, I think. For
that's why
the
I think I
hardcore fans.
like this Joker so much.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he may not be the Joker, this version of him is just a wild take.
Mm-hmm.
He's not such a psycho like in the comics or something. Like, he's not really, outside of the ending, he's not really out murdering people with laughing gas, or he's not, I don't know, he's different, and he's more of this, I don't know, I like the movie. I like it a lot. I like what it does, the shock at the end, with his girlfriend, which, you know, through the whole movie seems suspicious anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck would do that with him?
Oh yeah, no, it was
Which
weird.
also fondle some dudes does the same thing, and I don't understand it. But
2024's
Fondle some dudes. That sort of thing.
ew.
what I like about both movies, because I know we're going to talk about the sequel in a little bit, but they both seem to have like a really major self-awareness to the source material without ever actually going there with any of it. And I do like that. And it's a nice touch because the incarnation of this character is nothing like we've ever seen. And we see a side of Gotham that we've never really seen. And the first movie illustrates the shit out of that with the way Arthur is treated and the things he goes through and his trials and tribulations. And I don't know, the overall state of everything.
It's like the Fight Club of this generation.
Yeah,
Honestly.
for sure.
Even the style of the movie, the kind of things it stands for. A little more I don't know, kind of psycho. But anyways, I really like it, and that's what I like most about this Joker. Is although he was already a little fucking crazy, he didn't ever hurt anybody.
Yeah.
He got pushed to that point by being a nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody ever taking the time to notice him or anything.
Even his own mom.
Even his own
Just
mom
acting very
disregarded him.
passive about his existence. And,
Yeah. And so he has to create a world in his head where somebody out there matters or thinks he matters and can see him.
Yeah.
That's why I really like the joke at the I know we'll get into it later, but at the end of the second one, his knock knock joke at the end. He says, you know, knock knock. Who's there? Arthur. Arthur who?
Yeah.
And he just ends it there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It was really good. But the first one, with everything that happens in the movie, it kind of helps bleed into the thing where you don't really know what Joker says is real.
Yeah.
Ever.
Some of it. I mean, the second movie confirmed more than we, I guess, thought, or at least what I thought.
Yeah.
Because when I saw the first movie, I thought most of it was in his head anyway, even some of the kills.
Yeah.
But then now when the second one confirms at least he killed the 5 people we see him kill, 6 if you count his mom. Spoiler alert, he does kill his mother in the first movie.
If you didn't see it.
I'm sure you saw it.
Hopefully you did.
Yeah.
But
If you didn't, you should check it out. It's cool. But for me, as a Joker fan, to kind of devil's advocate what you're saying, I don't think it's, like I said before we hit record, I'm going to say it again. I want to see a balls out Joker Harley movie. It's like Bonnie and Clyde, and they got to be stopped, and they need Batman to stop them. But the whole movie, like, I picture it being a cross between In Time with Justin Timberlake and Amanda
Great
Seyfried,
movie.
and Natural Born Killers with Woody Harrelson and what's her name? I always forget her name. Fact checker? No. Juliette Lewis. I don't need it. I just need a couple minutes for my brain
Just a
to
second
compute.
to catch up.
Yeah.
Well, that's a interesting movie to want. I mean, it'd be cool.
Just think about it. Like,
So would Batman be in this movie, or would it be just some random movie on its own in a world where they're, I don't know.
In a world where Joker and Harley Quinn run rampant. Could be something like, in a world where Batman can suck a dick, Harley Quinn and Joker are at it again.
I don't know if I would watch that movie.
Why not?
Any movie that tells Batman to suck a dick, I don't know.
It's
Can't
a
take it
joke
seriously.
because it's the Joker.
I think so, but if I was doing it, I think the biggest problem with villain movies is we just cornhole the villain in there. The Dark Knight does a pretty good job of putting Joker in the story and making him the main focus, even when we're not seeing him, which is really great. But I'd kind of just like to see a front and center, completely psycho, off the rails, comic book version of the Joker. I might be alone in this, and Joker falls into this category. I'm sick and tired of the grounded in reality Batman. I want to see a comic book Batman where Poison Ivy can be a thing and Mr. Freeze is believable in the story. And its tone, its tone captures the comics and the noir, all the shit that makes it good, but it doesn't have to be grounded in reality. And I think Joker and even the Batman, we're all so fixated on the Christopher Nolan realism with Batman that they all try to replicate it. And I don't think this movie's any different, or even the sequel minus the singing.
Well, I think it's easier. The hardest thing for Marvel to nail is villains. And it's even harder to nail a villain and make it feel believable and all that when they're CGI'd, as we saw with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Everybody fucking hated Doomsday. And I don't know, when they have battles like that in real action, sometimes I have a hard time really getting into it.
Yeah.
But at least, and when Batman and it being based more grounded, even though I think all of them are sick, and I would love to see an actual Two-Face, how fucked up he is, an actual, not Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze, a real Bane.
Yeah.
I would love to, but I just don't know how they would make it for me to do it, because, Marvel can get away with it, I feel, a lot more because they add some kind of comical to it,
comedic timing
and all that, and it makes you kind of understand that the movie's not, I don't know. That's just
it feels more comic booky.
Yeah, and Batman's kind of a darker comic, so it's harder to get away with that. I don't know. That's just me. I would still, like I said, if someone could pull it off, I would love to see a real Bane, like a Nightfall movie.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And like you said, Poison Ivy, where she's real.
Yeah.
That's sick.
I mean, and that's why I love so it's interesting because it actually leads to the next thing I was going to ask you about Joker, but I love Batman's universe of not only himself and his villains, because we know they're all psychologically damaged, Batman included, just kind of fucked up overall. And I was going to ask you how you feel about the approach to that in Joker, and then obviously later on in the sequel, but just the overall approach of mental illness leading to this, the way it's shown, how it's executed, because the movie spends a really good amount of time showing Arthur Fleck's flaws, the spontaneous laugh And
my favorite thing about it.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about it, honestly.
The obvious hallucinations, that he's actually telling those jokes on TV and dating girls he, wouldn't have a chance with, and just shit like that.
Like I said a little bit earlier, yeah, no, I think it makes the Joker's kind of insanity more believable.
Mm-hmm.
He has this condition where he just laughs, and people, freak out about that stuff, especially at the wrong time, as we see.
Yeah.
It's weird. He's got, you can't trust him with what he knows, because he doesn't know what he knows. So, Heath Ledger's Joker tells you a different story. Two times I think about how he got his scars. You don't know what's real, what's true.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of fucked up in the head. Like Definitely. You said, Batman's fucked up in the head. If we look at the end of the comic for what's the one where Joker wounds Batwoman and makes her the Oracle? It's
The Killing Joke.
The Killing Joke. Mm-hmm. At the end of it, Batman catches up with the Joker and they laugh.
Mm-hmm.
The comic book ends with them laughing because they know, so it's.
What camp are you in with that? Do you believe that Batman kills him at the end of that story, or do you think
no? They
just share the laugh.
I think
because it's left ambiguous, and obviously it's
left ambiguous, but they kind of talk about it with each other. You can't live. One can't live without the other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to be a circle that'll forever go on.
Mm-hmm.
And they both laugh about it because they know it's true.
Yeah.
Because Batman won't break his morals and Joker is just fucking crazy. So there's no fixing either thing. And Batman's, crazy begets crazy kind of,
Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons I don't like Joker, because they work off each other. And when you isolate the character and give him his own movie, cheapens him a little bit. And I don't know. The thing about Joker is it's got a lot of great scenes and imagery. And Joaquin Phoenix is great.
Amazing.
But it doesn't do anything for me in terms of the realm of Batman. It does nothing to advance my love for the Joker. You already know I love the Joker.
So this is how I look at it. We know in many comic lines and many different stories that there are more than one Joker.
Yeah.
Okay. And this movie, I feel at the end kind of sets it up perfectly. He's not the real Joker. He's somebody that started
he inspires
it. And like I said, these mentally fucked up people are probably kind of like him. They don't know they're not him probably at some point.
Yeah.
If we look at the Batman Beyond, when Joker came back and it turned out to be Tim Drake, I think it was.
Yeah.
He didn't know.
He's brainwashed.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
He's probably not a great example. But I
don't like it. I just don't like it because Joker to me is just as important as Batman, and I think these movies do a lot to tear the character down. I don't think they build on anything. We talked about it with Darth Vader. I don't really need that question answered. Why is Joker the way he is? I like the whole he just is. He's an agent of chaos. That's why the Heath Ledger Joker is the best one in terms of the film, just in the storytelling aspect, because we never see his backstory. He tells us the wrong shit every time as a misdirect because it doesn't matter. And that's the whole point of why he retells those, because it doesn't matter. He just is the way he is. And I like that. And as much as I like the Jack Nicholson version, we still see him become Joker. And I just...
Kind of a classic one, too.
Yeah. And the other day I decided to read some newer Batman comics because I subscribed to the app on my phone. I wanted to see where the multiple Joker storyline was going. And from what I saw, the writer, Geoff Johns, or whatever the fuck his name is, I forget who's writing it right now, but it's one of those guys. Tim Snyder. I don't know. There's like 3 of those fucking guys writing them right now. But those Joker plot points that they laid out with the 3 different ones apparently was bullshit. And the whole time it is still just one Joker now. And it's the reason I stopped reading the comic books. Because they can't stick to anything. Like, they'll set it up, they'll make you think it's going to be part of it, and then they change it again. And I think these 2 movies are a commentary on that as well. Like, your expectations are one thing, and then they throw a curveball at you. And I just don't get it.
See, I think that's also what makes it good. Nobody knew what this Joker was going to be.
You don't think he looks kind of goofy in the terms of, like, trying to look...
Absolutely.
You know, it's weird.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't think it looks bad, but just in comparison, not as goofy as Jared Leto.
It does look goofy, and that's, I think, kind of the point. But the movie is a Joker movie because it's the unexpected.
Yeah.
You can never predict anything with him, and I think it was done great that this movie is what it is. Like, the way they took it, everything... Because it's not connected to any universe now that we know that. So it's a one-off, which is cool, but it's different.
It is.
So
different.
you want that comic book, or that like comic book accurate Joker. You want that Bonnie and Clyde with Harley Quinn and them, because that's more Joker. He's a gangster. They're from the mob era. That's when Batman was made. So I get that, but it's still kind of the same thing. And this Joker really throws a wrench in everything, but it's secluded. So you don't really have to think of it as anything else but that, just another story.
Yeah.
Joker.
True.
So I like that they did that, because to me it is very Joker to just the movie's so fucking weird.
It is weird.
Just weird. And like, when you think of Joker, he's kind of fucking weird and psychotic, and this whole movie is weird and psychotic. His dancing, his oddly skinniness, and like when he moves, he's like this. It's gross. Like his I don't know. It was a perfect move, I think, because I didn't know what to expect when they were like, yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is gonna be the Joker and blah blah blah, and I was like, what? Joaquin Phoenix, not that I love Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
I think he's great in a lot of the shit he does, but it threw me a loop.
Just like when Heath Ledger was cast in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, everybody's like, dude from Brokeback Mountain? That's the Joker?
Yeah, 10 Things I Hate About You.
10 Things I Hate About You. No, I mean, that one probably threw people for a loop, but Joaquin Phoenix, I just didn't, like, you wouldn't see him as a Joker. Ever. And what they did with this one, it makes perfect sense. He played it perfect.
Yeah.
But I understand your dislikes for it as a Joker, for what you love from Joker.
Yeah.
But when I look at it as just like comics, there's always these weird one-offs. And that's what these are to me.
And I agree. And that's what I was hoping we were going to get more of, because when they announced Joker, they were planning on doing a bunch of like villain-centric, movies. Like Black Adam was supposed to get his own movie, but it would have been different than the one we got with The Rock,
with the cock.
And then but it was supposed to be called like DC Dark or some shit like that, or DC Black. I don't remember, but they didn't keep going with it. They only made the sequel to this one because
it was a hit.
It was a hit. It made $1 billion, so they want that same fucking money. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to give the wrong impression. I do like Joker. I think it's a cool, I love crime movies. I love movies that take place in that time period. I love Joaquin Phoenix. Music was great. The way it's filmed is great.
What do you think about Todd Phillips?
He's cool. I mean, I like Pineapple Express. I like.
So weird that he did that movie in this movie.
Yeah, or no, I think he's the Hangover. That's my bad. He's the Hangover guy.
Wait, then who did Pineapple Express? Oh, David Gordon Green, right?
David Gordon Green. Oh, that's the only reason I said that, because we just talked about that shit.
No.
But yeah, no, he did Hangover 1, 2, and 3, and Old School.
Well, still even weirder.
Yeah, because it's another, like we talked about with Jordan Peele. It's going from comedy to thriller or crime movie or drama, which is cool, but
no, it's cool.
It's really unexpected sometimes.
So let me ask you, when you heard about this movie, what did you expect? Like, if you expected anything, like what was your, if you had any thoughts on it, like what did you think the direction they were going to take? Especially because I do know then they did say that these movies weren't going to connect to anything. It was just a Joker movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And people weren't even sure if it was actually like a Joker, like Batman, until they did Bruce Wayne. But anyways, what did you think was going to come of this movie?
I want, when it comes to every comic book movie with pre-established source material, all I really want is to see the stories I love told in live action, almost identically to the comic book, but just darker, grittier, maybe not necessarily more realistic. Like I said, it can still be comic booky, but do it in a way where, like, it's what I know. Like, I want to see, for example, I want to see Joker throw acid in Harvey Dent's face and create Two-Face the way I know it. And I know that's only in one of those stories, but with comic books and there being so many different variations of everything, it's just the first one you read is always the most amazing to you.
The prominent one.
Yeah, and the one you remember the most. So that's Harvey's origin story for me, even though, then you watch the animated series and they change it a little bit. It's like he's hanging out with the gang or the mob and they're blackmailing him or something, shit like that, and he's just trying to escape their hideout. The explosion fucking does that to his face, or the Dark Knight version when that explosion does that to his face. So there's always a different interpretation, but for me, I just wanted a straight up Joker movie and like that, and that's what I was expecting when they cast Joaquin Phoenix in the role. I was like, well, maybe they're trying to do a more zany movie, because he's capable of doing a lot of shit. Like, he's serious, he's funny, he's weird.
No, he's a very eclectic actor. He can do a lot.
But I was blown away. It wasn't what I expected, and that's part of the reason I like it. And it's part of the same exact thing I'm going to say about Folie Deux.
Fondle-a-deux.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I like the movie a lot. Joaquin Phoenix is great. The music is good. Setting is good. Atmosphere is good. The jokes, the violence really does remind me of the time period that it's in. I love directors that can capture, like a period piece. That's what that movie is. It felt like very 70s gritty movie.
Yeah, 80s and late 70s, early 80s. The one thing I'll say, there's a million things I'll say, but I like his laughing a lot, but I do not like that the second one didn't carry that much. Like, it usually happens, it said, when he gets nervous. So you're telling me that whole movie he wasn't nervous when you could tell he was, but there were only a few times, like when they announced. Either way, we'll get into it, but just a gripe I had with it, because the laugh, I really liked that in the first movie and how I couldn't control it. So that because it just added that layer of this dude is fucking weird.
Okay, this is going to sound out there, possibly, maybe. But while we were watching the second one, I was thinking about headcanons, like your own headcanon for shit, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't necessarily mean like it has to connect to other things to make sense. In this regard, what I mean is I kind of view the first movie as a really crazy retelling of the Red Hood storyline, where this villainous force, in this case the slum society streets of Gotham, force this guy to be a criminal, and then he ends up becoming like a martyr character. And in Red Hood, he's kind of like a martyr character for the mob. They use him as like a, if he gets caught, he can't give names because he wears the red hood. Nobody knows who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Joker movie feels like a weird retelling of that, where it's like an origin story that leads into him becoming a Joker. And it shares a lot of things like the failed stand-up comedian thing and the fucked up home life, where in the Red Hood story or the Killing Joke version of it or whatever, he's got the wife at home and he's the failing comedian and shit or whatever. And it seems like he's got some issues with anxiety or whatever. And this movie feels like that in a lot of ways. So I appreciate it for that. And I felt the same way while watching the sequel because...
Yeah, it did have some similarities for that for sure.
Yeah.
And...
I don't know. It's weird.
It was a little weird, but the movie's weird. A lot weird.
They're both fucking weird. It's crazy to me how weird the second one is, having followed an already strange movie. It's almost like it knew the first one was really weird and they had to think of a new way to top that bizarreness.
But that's the weird thing is it didn't. I don't think it needed a sequel. This is one of those movies that they would have left the first one. Mm-hmm. It's better off just this one off. Like, I don't fucking need to know what happened to Arthur Fleck after that.
Yeah. That's what I mean. We never needed Revenge of the Sith, Just show me dark, mysterious
your mouth.
Darth Vader.
I fucking love that movie. Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Really?
Yes.
No, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if I knew that, but...
It's fucking is.
Well, we'll definitely be coming back to that shit at some point.
Second best is obviously Empire.
Well, I mean, so what do you give Joker 1?
I give Joker 1 9. 9. It's a great movie. Mm-hmm. Actually, probably, you know what? 9's perfect. Yeah.
I thought I was going to have to hit the old button and go
10 out of 10 right there for you.
No.
Right.
Still didn't have my requirement of he didn't die at the end.
But I mean, it does end on a down note.
Does
sort of. I mean, he loses everything. He goes to jail. He's going to get caught at the end of the movie, even if he does have his triumphant moment of everyone celebrating him, Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
9.
9.
What about you?
9 out of 10. 9, baby.
Me?
What's the rating?
7. Probably
Whoa.
7 out of 10. While we were talking about it, I was thinking about giving it an 8.
Yeah.
But the movie is really depreciated with me over time. I liked it a lot when I first saw it. It has the Dark Knight Rises feel for me. Like, I liked it a lot when I first saw it, and every time I watch it after, I like it less and less and less. But 7 out of 10. Not a terrible movie by any stretch of the imagination. I like it, but meh.
It's a 9er. 9er.
A 9er.
9er.
Well, I guess that'll bring us to our mid-roll break.
Mid-roll break.
And when we come back from that, we'll talk the sequel. Number 2.
Folie la Deux.
Fondle-a-doo.
Fondle-a-doo. Folie-a-doo.
We'll be right back. And we're back from that mid-roll break. Mid-roll, roll ourselves into the Joker sequel.
The Joker sequel.
2024's Folie à Deux.
Folie à Deux.
I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm terrible with that shit, but
white style. Folie a deuce.
Folie a
Deuce.
deuce.
A deuce.
I don't know. I don't know how you say it, but we hadn't talked about how either of us felt about this movie after we walked out, which is weird because we try to usually show that restraint, but end up talking about it anyway before we hit record. But this time, neither of us really revealed to each other our overall thoughts of the movie. So you're hearing it for the first time.
Had to digest.
Yeah. So with that being said, this movie picks up where the first one kind of left off, with Arthur going to prison, or Arkham Asylum in this case, for being a psycho and killing the 5 people in the first movie, and then ends up meeting Lady Gaga's character, which is a loose version of Harley Quinn, I guess you could say. Movie's fraught full of musical numbers and some bizarre decisions, and I'm gonna leave you to kick that off having said that.
Yeah, so this movie is 2 years after the first one, and Arthur is famous now. He has a movie out about what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting way to direct, like, to take this.
Yeah.
So my first question is, just because of how the movie's played out, did we watch the movie, or did we watch what Arthur saw? Because if we watched the movie in the world, you know, they make shit crazier.
So like you're asking if Joker 2019 was really just the movie about Arthur Fleck's life, but we were seeing it in like a film form.
Yeah. You know, because
I mean, that's an interesting take.
Like, just how the movie is and how weird it gets.
Yeah.
I feel like it could be that.
It's hard to say.
Because it's weird, too. Like, just 2 years later, but there's a movie out about what he did. So everybody knows what he did.
It's hard to say because both movies seem to have a lot of Arthur hallucinating. So we, as the viewer, don't really know where the reality is even occurring, if there's any reality, or if it's all in his head. So it's weird, but that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. I was too busy trying to analyze the weird direction and choices of having Harley Quinn in the movie, and like the overtones that I don't fucking know. The movie, kind of just like the first one, threw me for a loop, and I don't really know where I stand with it, I guess, but interesting film.
Interesting is not the word. It's fucking batshit wild. It's in weird ways.
Yeah.
It's
the choice to do the musical numbers makes me wonder, like, was that decided because Lady Gaga was cast in the role, or if it was always a musical and she was cast because of that?
She was cast after they said that, because they announced early on that it was going to be kind of a musical. Because I knew early on I was already going to fucking rate it lower for that. Fucking hate musicals. This might be controversial for everybody. Fuck Grease.
I guess they also hate musicals. They've been silent all night. No, except for whenever they want to talk some shit.
Well, because they agree with me. Fuck Grease.
Grease is not a bad movie. I don't understand the hatred for it, but
the hatred is the musical.
I like musicals.
West Side Story, suck a dick.
I like musicals, but I will say I didn't like the musical numbers in this movie. I don't. They fit everything. They fit the atmosphere and the tone, but like I just don't like them. They're not memorable.
Too many of them, and I was getting annoyed of them at the end.
And none of them like stand out, you know, like even if you don't like the movie, but I bet you like Lion King, right? Lion King is kind of a musical. when you think about things like I just can't wait to
So-
be king.
Cartoons are different for me. Like, if it's a cartoon,
But it's still a musical.
it doesn't bother me the same. I don't want to see grown ass men
Bursting
singing
into
about
song.
the fucking things. Like, I don't give a fuck. You know, I have exceptions, obviously, to what I hate, like Sweeney Todd, the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Right? Was that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Yeah, that one was.
Which one? The Tim Burton one? Or
No,
the
no,
original?
no, the original.
The original one's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay, Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Then yeah, that one.
The Gene Wilder one, yeah.
Gene Wilder. That one's fine. But I've watched Grease like 10 times. I don't know why, but high schools love to show that fucking movie all the time.
Oh, totally.
I've seen La La Land. I've seen pieces of La Miserable.
But you like Sweeney Todd.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's weird. But Sweeney Todd's also got this weird.
It's like that undertone of like,
And the dude's murdering people.
can I take it as serious as I want to? I don't think it takes itself that serious. So, but I think Joker does. So that's why I think that the music numbers don't work. I don't know. I didn't like any of them. Like I said, none of them stood out to me. And I'm a Frank Sinatra fan. I'm a Lady Gaga fan. But I just also, was Joaquin Phoenix singing all that stuff?
Obviously, some of it he probably had help when they did like the musical numbers.
Mhm.
But I think it sounded like to me when they were on screen, just like singing in front of each other,
Mhm.
it was them actually singing. Because Joaquin Phoenix did Walk the Line, and he sang all of
True.
it. They have the soundtrack is him and Reese Witherspoon singing the songs, not
Huh.
Johnny Cash and June.
I don't remember.
I don't remember her name. Either way, yeah. So
Anytime
he can
anyone
sing.
brings up that movie, I know I'm supposed to be thinking about Walk the Line, but I'm just thinking about Walk Hard with Dewey
Walk
Cox.
hard.
Wrong kid died.
It ain't Cox unless I say it tastes like Cox. The movie's great. It's
I love
slept
that
on.
movie.
It
It
is
is.
slept on so hard.
It's so fucking funny.
You think it'd get bigger because he did that after Step Brothers.
Also, just like John C. Reilly is dope, dude. He's funny as fuck.
Except in The Perfect Storm.
I don't even remember him in that fucking movie.
I
but
didn't either. I watched him one time, just put it on, and there he fucking was.
He's just a solid actor because he can do comedy. He can do serious roles. He pulls it off. He pulls it the fuck off. No? All right, whatever.
I'm trying to imagine. It's hard to watch him in A Perfect Storm because I think of that scene in Step Brothers where she's basically like raping him, and he's like, "Why is it so slippery?"
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Well, like he's also in like Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York or whatever, and he's
Yeah.
kind of interesting in that too. I don't know. He's just an all around guy.
Why is it so slippery?
He's in this movie called Carnage by Roman Polanski with like Kate Winslet and Jodie Foster that I love. Anyway, Walk Hard, John C. Reilly. Back to Joker.
Walk hard.
I don't know. I don't feel like this movie lands in the right ways. Like it's not bad, but it doesn't land with the Harley thing. It feels really forced and it doesn't flow well to me in some ways. And then other ways it does what I said the first one kind of does, where it's capturing a moment in the history of Joker kind of well, like the Mad Love graphic novel or whatever, like the first appearance of Harley Quinn within the comic books. It feels like that in homage in a way, and I'll give it that, but everything about them feels really rushed, and I don't know, it doesn't work for me.
I like it. I think outside the musicals, I get the theme of the movie. Musy. This
Musy.
This musy.
This musy is a doozy.
This musy fucking abused me. But the theme is still the same as the first one. And he says it just, I'll bring up again that knock knock joke at the end of the movie. It still entails the same exact thing as the first one. Mm-hmm. Nobody gives a fuck who Arthur Fleck is. They care about the Joker. Yeah. So no matter what, nobody sees Arthur. He's still nobody.
That's a great commentary on the alter ego of Joker. Like, everyone always wants the explanation, and I'm like, I don't care. I just want Joker.
Yeah.
I want the homicidal fucking clown prince of crime. I don't give a shit about any of that other stuff. Like, yeah, that's why I always bring up the Darth Vader thing, because it's true. When I was a kid, he was menacing and shit, and I didn't know anything about him, so it made him scarier and it made him more intimidating. And then to go back and show us in the prequel trilogy and him be such a pussy, I don't like it. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a pussy. I'm a pussy, but I just don't picture Darth Vader being a bitch like that and leading into that, because he's so menacing when you first see him. Feel the same way for the Joker. Like, he's a force to be reckoned with. And Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal in both movies, it's I don't know. I don't want to use this word, but I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to go there. It's actually disrespectful to the character of the Joker.
What?
Yeah, because the Joker is supposed to be like representation of chaos, and yeah, obviously some shit had to happen to him for him to get to that point, but I don't care what that shit is. I just want him to enter the room and do what he does. Either kill everyone in the room or leave everyone alive, and you just never know with him, Sometimes you should be afraid, sometimes you shouldn't, but no matter what, he's always like, the wild card. That's what I like about him. And with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, I feel in both movies, he's kind of just predictable, because he falls into all these similar tropes where it's like he can, I can blame all of this shit in society and how people treat me on being a psycho, and then people like me for it. And I just don't know. I don't feel like it lands for the character. I feel like it's disrespectful and a misinterpretation. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, you're a Joker fan, so what do you think of that?
It's like I said, I think it's a fine interpretation of Joker, because this is its own thing.
Yeah.
They do a lot of their own things in comic book world, and people just read it and move on. Some love it. Some want to hear more of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes there shouldn't be, just like this movie shouldn't be. It still says the same message, but it doesn't add too much new to it outside of the love that was for Joker, not Arthur, and him still feeling not seen by anybody.
Yeah.
And that's all they care about. But they said, basically the first movie said everything they need to, and this movie just literally builds itself off the last. Like, it's standing on the shoulders of the greatness of the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So greatness. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
The greatness for me. I give it a 9. I give it a 9.
I guess it was greatness for
you.
And
he didn't die.
Yeah.
So for me,
in the first one, he didn't. But so yeah, basically as the movie progresses, we're throwing a whole bunch of musical acts and
useless musical acts.
Yeah, just random shit. The movie felt really random, and the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking about what you were saying. Like, he did the movie as a fuck you because blah blah blah.
That's just a theory.
That's a tale as old as time. Yeah. There's always that excuse exists for Spider-Man 3 with Sam Raimi and fucking shit. We talked about another one not too long ago where like he just purposely made the movie shitty because of studio pressure. Oh, Halloween 2. Rob Zombie says that. He's like, they just kept pressuring me and pressuring me and pressuring me, and then I just did whatever. And it's like, I don't know. It's fucked up. The movie suffers because the execs can't roll. And I don't know if that's the case here, but when you brought that up as a theory, I was thinking about it through the whole fucking movie, and I was like, that might have been a dig at the audience, and that might have been a dig at the audience, and just, I mean,
that's what the movie's like. I mean, not meta, but meta. because
Oh, they both
everybody
are.
loved the Joker.
Yeah.
And and then Folie Deux is about that. You love the Joker. Everybody loves him all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody loves Arthur.
It feels like a commentary on like society's obsession with serial killers and violent offenders and psychos and shit, because they do treat them like that, and they always have, from Charles Manson to school shootings and shit. Like the media, if it wouldn't give it as much attention, would it happen as much? Who knows? I don't know. I think this movie and the first movie are both commentary on like society, and I don't think that's a secret. I don't think I'm saying like anything prolific or anything shit like that, but it's very apparent in this one.
You blown my mind with this.
But motherfucking
Mind blown.
hell yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the movie, which is a weird feeling.
Yeah, this is what I can say is I might watch it one more time just to see it again,
absorb some little shit,
absorb some stuff, and maybe make more sense of it. But as of right now, yeah, I'm it's weird. I don't hate it. I don't love it, but it weirdly, even with the musicals, it weirdly makes sense without making sense.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
There was one little thing I caught, that sequence where Arthur is picturing himself and Harley singing on stage, and they're like dancing and shit one of the first times.
Mm.
And the show was called Pogo's, and Pogo was the name of John Wayne Gacy's clown, Pogo the Clown. And Joker's clown makeup is very similar to John Wayne Gacy's makeup.
Interesting.
It's super weird, but I noticed it like as it was happening. I was like, Pogo's, that's most definitely a John Wayne Gacy reference, which is keeping in line with what we're talking about too, like the media thing. And it's weird, but I don't know, man. Like I know we were silent walking out of the theater because my first initial reaction was to just trash the fuck out of that movie. Like I don't know, but now that I've had time to sit with it, it does one thing that I do love about sequels, and we have brought this up already on the show, but the second movie being totally out of left field in the franchise, and that usually pissing people off, but I usually like that.
Yeah, no, it definitely. So I feel like if you took out all the musical numbers,
yeah,
the movie would make more sense. The movie would just flow a little better.
Yeah. I don't understand the musical thing because again, none of it really like landed very well to me personally.
No.
And again, I love musicals. I got no problem with that shit, but I'm
just guessing because it's it's all in his head anyways. We all know that.
Yeah.
Because usually, except when they sing to each other in real life.
Yeah. Which was only like once each or maybe twice each. It was weird.
But, yeah.
I mean, and Lady Gaga killed it. I usually like her as an actress. I thought she did good. And she was obviously good at singing. Obviously.
I hope so.
And I listened to the album that she released that tied into the movie, and it was just her covering like crooner songs like Sinatra and Dean Martin and just shit like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was all right. It was cool.
All right.
But it doesn't add anything to the movie. So
I want to have a definitive opinion on this movie, but it's hard to. It really is. It's just
I do like it. I like it because of what I said. It goes against the grain for a sequel. Your expectation is one thing, and it's like, oh, fuck you. It's actually this, which I think brings us to kind of the ending of the movie, which I know we're going to talk a little bit about it, so we might as well start talking about it now. But the whole Arthur being killed at the end of the movie, and then in the blurry background, we see the guy who stabbed him carving the scars into his face and laughing hysterically the whole time, which to me is pretty great. I like that a lot because the whole premise to the first movie, for me, at least I thought in the years since it came out, was that Arthur was never the real Joker. He was always going to be the legendary thing that inspires the real Joker to run rampant all over fucking Gotham. And because I don't think Arthur ever had what it took to be the Joker. No. I think his ideas and concepts are what.
Because Arthur didn't want to be the Joker.
Yeah.
He wanted to be seen as Arthur.
Mm-hmm. Arthur Fleck, the comedian.
The comedian, the nice guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so how do you feel about that? Like, him, because we know you like the down ending. So Arthur dies. So I want your feedback on that, kind of, because I don't know if that plays a factor in the movie.
It's kind of like I said that, Arthur earlier when we were talking about it, and your kind of gripes about who he is. He's just the martyr of the Jokers.
Yeah.
He was this person who inspired them to become who they were, but he was never the Joker.
Mm-hmm. The Joker we know.
The Joker we know. And as the end of the movie shows, that's just what it shows. It's the end of that Joker, Arthur Fleck, and the beginning of, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who he is.
I feel like that decision to do that is the studio being like, look, maybe Joaquin doesn't want to come back and Todd probably doesn't want to come back, but you better fucking leave it open so we can still make a sequel out of it. So we'll throw that little 30-second thing into the end of the movie. So when Joker 3 is announced, people will be like, well, yeah, but they did show us the guy in the background. Fucking,
I don't think they'll do it.
Bloop.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think.
I don't know.
I don't think. Again, this one wasn't needed.
Yeah.
So you do a third just based on that. Mm-hmm. It's even less needed. Because what is he gonna do? He's in prison.
Yeah, but the Joker that we know escapes from prison all the time, escapes from Arkham all the time. So, if he is the real Joker, this is the time to build the Joker we all know, which could be another hit for them if they decided to do it. Personally, I don't think they will. All I'm saying is that is like a contingency plan move, that they do that in the background. So it leaves ambiguity on the table, but it also leaves the window if they ever decide we want to do a third movie, or we want to tie this movie into maybe Pattinson's Batman or whatever. I don't know. Again, we know they don't connect to anything.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean they can't retroactively go through and do that. Like they didn't, they've done that 3 times already. So
I feel, I'm not even sure how I feel about Pattinson's Joker. Because
same.
We haven't seen him yet. We know kind of what he's about, or at least where they're pulling some of the inspiration for him from.
I like his little moment at the end of the movie, but
it's all right.
Where are they going to take it?
And the hard thing is he has to top Paul Dano.
True.
And Paul Dano's,
he crushed it.
Like it. He crushes it a lot. I feel like.
Oh, he
Prisoners.
Rules. Yeah.
Swiss Army Man. You've never seen Swiss Army Man. Do something with your fucking life and go watch that movie.
But that should be a thing. You have to raise the bar, right? And that's what'll make each movie good. I think the problem with Dark Knight Rises is that Tom Hardy couldn't possibly have followed Heath Ledger's performance.
And that can be a problem. It would be hard, I feel like, for anybody to top Paul Dano's performance.
Yeah.
When you start off with a banger, but then subsequently you can't recreate that. And I'm not saying anything like Paul Dano's the best ever, but his villain in it was fantastic. His take on it, interesting and different, and I liked it a lot.
I did like it a lot. I do think that I think Batman 2 has the potential to raise that bar just because they did such a great job on the first one. Like I said, my allegiance to that movie will always at its core be I got a Batman movie where I get to see Batman for the whole fucking movie. To me, that's the biggest draw. And like, they did a great job with Catwoman. They did a great job with Penguin and a great job with Riddler. So now I'm just like, continue to wow me. You know, what are you going to throw at me next? I would really love to see Two-Face, Scarecrow, and Mr. Freeze get really good treatment. I'm a big Mr. Freeze fan. I'm a big Poison Ivy fan. I don't want them to be in the same movie per se or have their plot points intertwined like they did in Batman and Robin, but I don't know. I just love the Batman universe. I could talk about this shit all day. We're definitely going to be doing like a couple parter just Batman episode.
Just Batman, Fat Man.
All
Batman all the time. Batman.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that he died at the end of the movie. I think he's been through enough, and to do that to the character kind of cuts the whole thing down. But it also might just be perfectly in line with all the themes that both movies laid out for us. But
although I do normally like when the person dies at the end, I mean, you wouldn't call Arthur Fleck a good guy.
But is this one of those times where it doesn't do anything for you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like,
yeah.
He is from the beginning the bad guy. Like, no matter what the background of what happened in his life and how he was treated, he still made the decision to fucking blow those people, Robert De Niro, away.
Yeah.
He still made choices. So he was the bad guy. So at the end, him dying is kind of where I saw it going. And it also makes me feel better because they won't do a third one. Because they didn't need to do a second one. And Harley Quinn's performance really is good. But
I think you're too certain about that. Like the fact that there won't be a third one. Like,
I am too certain, but I really think they won't. Because if it's not Todd Phillips doing it and not Joaquin Phoenix, I don't think there's going to be a draw for it. Because everybody's going to be like, what the fuck? Todd Phillips isn't doing it? Why isn't he doing it? And what do you mean? Joaquin's dead. Who's going to do it?
What if Todd Phillips came back, but obviously no Joaquin? But what if they ran with the whole ending to what we saw? Like, different guy takes up the mantle. And what if Todd Phillips was like, yeah, I'll be back. I'll do it. What would you think then?
Shock.
They lie all the time.
They do.
I don't trust them. And they
quick.
always say, they remade The Crow. And for years, people were like, never. I feel like the same thing is going to happen to Back to the Future one of these days.
One day it might, but
hopefully I'm dead by then.
For this one, I don't know. They could make another. I hope they don't. I hope and hope and hope they don't. But they announced the second one to this pretty quick with the success of the first one, and this one's already getting shit on.
$1 billion movie.
But to be fair, like I said, I don't really know how to feel about it. Like, there are bad things about it, but there are good things that I like. Funny shit, like when the girl from the first movie that he's stalking, which I thought he killed.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see that she lived. So anyways, what would happen is she was on the stand testifying against Arthur, and they talk about her not first responding to subpoenas, and they're like, well, why did you decide to come up here today? And she goes, because if I would have called the cops when he broke into my apartment, they all might not have died. They all might have lived. And Arthur's face goes just like this. Yeah. You know what?
You're on to something.
You're honest. You're probably right. They
You
probably
ain't
would've got
wrong.
me.
Yeah.
You should be on trial.
That face of his should end up being like the meme version of that 100.
For sure.
When people agree with that, they're like 100.
100.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that was cool. I think that was a nice little touch.
I do think, and I mentioned this before. I've actually mentioned it to a ton of people that I feel part of the reason this one was a musical was because of the dance on the stairs at the end that everybody loved from the Joker, which I thought it was cool, but I didn't love it like that. Like, people were fucking obsessed.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a weird. Like,
For
it was
me,
a cool scene, and I get the scene, but I just didn't understand why people were like, "Oh my god!" It's like the Napoleon Dynamite dance.
Yeah,
it was sick.
It's funny that we talked about the whole first movie, but we didn't bring up the shocking ending with him killing Murray. Like, we talked about it, like we mentioned it, but like, it was pretty impactful when I first saw it. I was like, oh fuck, because I was familiar with the comic book where he goes in and he pulls the machine gun out from behind the chair and he kills a bunch of people in the audience. And the movie decided to just do something totally different, which I think was more shocking. And I feel like the sequel was trying to do that with Arthur's death, but I just didn't feel like it landed. Like, I don't know. The death of Arthur to me is almost as pointless as Lady Gaga was in the movie. Like, she wasn't bad, like you said, but I didn't need her in the movie at all. Like, I feel like it should have just been more focused on him going to trial and defending himself. And shout out also to the movie actually having a Harvey Dent, even though I didn't care for him. I thought he was a bland little pickle, but whatever the hell that means.
He's a bland pickle, everybody.
Bland pickle.
Harvey Dent is a bland pickle.
I guess what I mean by that is like,
he ain't no sweet baby.
Yeah, there's all those different flavors of the pickles, but he just was so stone-faced and uninteresting. And I know, like you were saying, like, it's there for the world building and for us to be like, oh, this movie takes place in Gotham, just in the same vein that like Thomas Wayne did for the first movie and Bruce Wayne, obviously, and all that shit. But like, yeah, I don't know. I would have liked to see more from him.
The courtroom thing, like I said, this movie was getting a point across, but it still didn't have like a story, kind of. It was still just kind of felt like a real, just plain continuation of the first one.
Yeah.
Like, we hit the midway point at the end. And then this is just continuing it. There was no like, I don't, maybe I missed it, but I didn't feel like there was a story.
There really isn't.
Like, it's just a continuation of the first one, and they add a few things. Obviously, like the musical Harley Quinn.
The only real
the
story seems to be Arthur just realizing he doesn't want to be Joker. Like, at first he's in love with the idea because he's finally admired and shit. But then the events of this movie just make him feel like all they care about is this character that I've created and not me. Just like you were saying, like, Arthur Fleck wants to be remembered. And I think that's the only real advancement of the story with the second one, which is good. I mean, that's probably what saves the movie from being a complete turd. I don't know. It's weird because, like, so Danny had posted, shout out to Danny, by the way, he'll be on in a few weeks, joining the deep dive. But he had posted like that he loved it in his Letterboxd review and gave it 4 stars and shit. So I was expecting it to be pretty interesting and pretty good because, I don't know, I was being overrun with like terrible reviews online on Reddit and everywhere else.
Same.
Also is going to be a shout out to our next side dive, which will be fandom and just
Ron Burgundy effect.
The Ron Burgundy effect. And what we talk about in that side dive is like being too harsh and being too crazy of a fan in either direction, either loving it blindly to the point of obsession and or hating on it so hard that you're not willing to even give it a chance. And it's like, You got to find that decent middle ground, try to assess everything. And it's funny because that's exactly what happened for me with this movie. From the time we left the theater to us hitting record, I've gone from like, that movie sucked, to, you know, it actually wasn't too bad. Like, I don't think it deserves all the fucking hate it's getting.
I think this is a movie that needs to sit.
Yeah, let it marinate.
And I think people are just... From the beginning, I didn't think this movie needed a sequel, as I've said. Mm-hmm. But everybody was so excited for the sequel. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, they were thinking something crazy and unexpected in the same way, where they did go crazy and unexpected, but in another direction with like these musicals and like the change in Arthur. He's not the same person from the first movie. Like I said, he barely laughs. He has a few scenes where like he finds out he's going to die. So he's outside like in the rain, cry laughing. Mm-hmm. You know, he laughs a little bit in the car. He laughs at the courthouse when he gets fucking convicted, you know, but outside of that.
Yeah. They didn't stick as hard with it, but maybe just because they thought it would take away from the uniqueness of its use in the first one. I don't know, but I don't know. I like the movie. I like both of them. I think they're an interesting take. I think you got to be fucking batshit crazy to tell me that Joker 2 or Folie Deux is worse than The Flash. Like we were talking about before we left your house, like it being ranked the lowest of all of the DC movies is fucking wild when you consider some of those movies. After watching it, there's no goddamn way I agree with that, like, at all.
No, it can't be lower than fucking Aquaman 2.
What's the rating for it? Because we were looking, it was like 33% audience, 30% critic.
Yep.
What's Aquaman?
But Aquaman 1 got a good one. That was $1 billion.
Yeah, that was another $1 billion movie. But I never even saw Aquaman 2. I don't give a fuck about that.
I don't either. It was a buddy movie. I fucking don't care for those. But
yeah, well, I mean, DC's just made a lot of missteps. So that's why I can't sit here and honestly say, like, you know, this movie's worse than those, because to me, it's been a shit show the whole time. But, you know, everyone has their own opinion. I know people that like The Flash. I know people that think that movie's actually cool. And it's like, I'm not one of those people.
Not. I was actually excited. I was hoping it was going to be good. Yeah. I was like, this is the last of the Snyderverse movies. Hopefully they did good. They did reshoots. They tried to make it better, but then we got a pile of garbage.
So no, it's still lower.
What's Aquaman 2?
Joker is lower. Aquaman 2 is 33%, which is 3% higher, but the audience score is 81%.
For Aquaman 2?
For Aquaman 2.
What the I saw that movie. That movie sucks so bad.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way. Like, Black Adam is bad too. That movie Black sucks Adam ass. Like, they've had no direction this entire time.
Dude, The Rock rocked it right into some asshole.
Yeah. I'm disappointed in the approach, because DC. I love Marvel and DC, but I think DC has potential. Yeah, even Black Adam's got a higher score. 39% critic. 88%. 88% audience score. That's fucking wild.
It's the Ron Burgundy effect.
It's crazy, man. That's why I'm saying, like, Joker 2 does not deserve all this hate. They're going too far. The movie is nowhere near that bad. It's a little bit weird. It's bizarre, and definitely was unnecessary. But in terms of overall film execution and a movie, the quality, it blows those other movies right out of the motherfucking water. I ain't even gonna lie. But that said,
that's said though. So that said, what's your rating then? What do you rate this movie? Well, you know what? Hold on. What did you rate it when you first came out of the theater?
When I first walked out of the theater, I was gonna go with something pretty low, like a 3.
Okay,
because I don't know.
Now that it's kind of marinated with you and, you know, you've thought it over, where are you at?
Well, what about, did it have the same effect for you? Like, were you lower and then it rose?
No.
Or did you just know right away?
I didn't know anything. I'm 100% still not 100%. Like, this movie's, I don't know how to digest it. But anyways, what do you give it? What is your
7? Same as the first.
Wow.
Like, the musical aspect is really the only thing I don't like about it.
Okay.
Because I would have just preferred, like, say I was making that movie, and I guarantee you this would have never happened, but in my crazy fucked up mind, I would have preferred the songs to have been like Queen songs and Black Sabbath songs and just weirder pop culture songs that maybe tied into mental illness and weirder shit like that, like Paranoid from Sabbath and You're My Best Friend from Queen. It may have been a little bit more cliche, but weirdly I felt like the decision to use all the crooning shit was cliche based on the tone of the movie. I think if you were going to go the full 9 and throw us that curveball, the music should have been just wild and out of place.
A 7.
But yeah, overall 7, because I do like this version of the Joker at the end of the day. Like, it's not what I'm used to, and that's kind of why I like it, because it's just yet again another take on it. And while it's not what I necessarily want from the Joker, it is not about what I want. It's about the art of it and the approach of it, and I appreciate the willingness to try something different. So 7, both of them 7. I know that might be shocking. I don't think either of them are perfect, but double 7s.
6.
6. And it was a 9 for the first one.
Yeah.
So that's quite the jump. Seems a little like you were disappointed with it, probably.
I went in upset.
Yeah.
Because I hate musicals. Not, if it would have been a good one, I'll admit to it. Because like I said, Sweeney Todd or Willy Wonka, those are good musicals. I can deal with those.
But not Folie Deux.
Not
Fondle Deux.
No, it just not. They fondled too much in it, and I didn't like it. Like, the musical numbers weren't that long, thankfully, but they were pretty often. It was like every time he thought about Harley Quinn, it was a musical.
Yeah.
And he did that all the time. Anytime she was around, it turned into a musical.
I felt like she busted into song way too much, which obviously I'm supposed to expect that from Lady Gaga, I'm sure. But
yeah, she's trying to Gaga. I'll let her Gaga me.
I don't know. Absolutely, she's so fine. But anyway,
but
I don't know, man.
Even though he died, and that's a favorite of mine in movies, like I said, this one just didn't land with me because he's the bad guy, and I was expecting him to die in the first one.
Yeah,
and it didn't deter me that he didn't, but in the first one, he didn't win.
Yeah,
there was no winning in that.
Not for him.
But I think the movie would have ended way sweeter if he did blow his brains out in the first one.
On camera, like he was talking about. Yeah, it probably would have had the same effect.
It would have been sweeter.
Or similar, anyway.
But, yeah.
Boom. A 6.
9 and a 6 for these ones. It might grow on me more. Again, I'm not 100% on my rating. The movie's weird to digest. I've got to watch it again.
Yeah, same.
But
I mean,
right
I'll
now
get
it's
it.
6.
Right
now it's 6.
Overall, I know it's the end of the franchise, more than likely, of the end two of movies. Joaquin. And probably the end of any of the remaining leftovers of the previous DC.
Yeah.
So going forward, we're going to see new shit.
No more Joaquin in his shoes anymore.
Mm-hmm. He's no longer walking hard.
No.
He was never walking hard.
He was walking the line. Yeah.
Well,
walking that fine line of a sweet movie followed by a odd movie.
A very odd movie.
But
very bizarre. But
all right.
That brings us to the end of episode 15. What do you guys think of Joker 1 and more specifically Joker 2? Don't just hate on it. Don't jump on that bandwagon.
Figure it out.
Yeah. Go watch it.
Digest it. Remember, it's not the first one.
Exactly. They tried something new and it mostly landed. Mostly. Mostly. That being said, leave your comments on anywhere you can leave comments. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I need like one of those fast readers that can be like...
like those medicine commercials.
When they're trying to pull a fast one on you at the very end, but you're like, oh, it was too fast for me.
Yeah, they're like, oh, yeah, take this. It'll make your dick feel better. But then it'll make you have a heart attack, high diabetes, high cholesterol.
Yeah, there you
lose
go.
2 legs.
The difference is I don't want to pull a fast one on you. If you're listening to us, then I've already done that. We've already done that.
Psych.
Yeah. Thank you once again for diving deep with us, and we will catch you on Wednesday. Hump day.
Pump it up. Pump it up.
And we'll catch you later.
Bye.